Hello, Nima community. I'm Heather.
And my mic right here.
And this is Show. And we're going to be doing some more Nima testing today live. And we are testing all things pumpkin and fall. So anything pumpkin spice that we could find, we're going to be testing today.
So what do we have here?
That is an organic pumpkin pie mix. So not just straight up organic pumpkin, but this is actually a mix that you would use for like pumpkin pie.
And some organic pumpkin creamy soup. Let's see if this is, it says gluten-free on it. It doesn't seem to be certified. Was this one? Nope. Doesn't say anything. Yeah. But it shouldn't have any gluten, right?
Yeah, the ingredients make us think that it's probably gluten-free. And then we've got a special pumpkin spice waffle here. Frozen waffle, certified gluten-free. We're expecting it to be gluten-free, but it's always good to just check when trying something new. Then we've got Simply Elizabeth granola here, pumpkin cinnamon ancient grain granola. Smells super tasty. And then we're testing the very popular organic apple cider. Lots of people like to put pumpkin spice in their warm apple cider when you're apple picking and whatnot, so we're going to test out some of that today too. And we've got a whole lineup of Nimas here so that we can kind of do a nice assembly line here.
All at the same time.
Yeah. So here's some capsules. And let us know in the comments if you have any questions on how to test any of this type of stuff or any other pumpkin spice items that you've seen that you'd be interested to see tested.
So for any of new audience members that may not know about these capsules, they do come package 1 per package. It's a new capsule. You use a brand new capsule every time you test. Inside here is chemistry that's basically going to be looking for the gluten proteins in whatever food liquids or solids that we're going to be testing.
And we found that for the most part, packaged foods tend to be as labeled. But sometimes you never know, and we've mentioned a lot before, but if you're new again, sometimes Nima can pick up below 20 parts per million, so if it's certified or labeled gluten-free and we pick up gluten, it's very possible that it's below the level as requested by the FDA, but some of us don't want any gluten, even if it's below 20 ppm, so that's kind of why we report those results on Nima.
All right, so I'm going to start with this pumpkin spice waffle right here. Just put about a small pea-sized amount, so just a few crumbles. I just put it inside here.
And if it's frozen, it's a good idea to maybe toast it or defrost it first. Otherwise, if it's too hard, it might break the grinding mechanism in the capsule. So we've defrosted a little bit here on our sampling foil.
Basically, if I tighten the capsule all the way, I'm going to hear it pop. That means I broke the seal to let the chemistry mix with the food content here. So this is good to go. So put it in this middle one right here. To start the Nima test, just press it once, turn it on, and you just press to start. And it'll give you a progress bar to let you know that the test is running. So that's the pumpkin spice gluten-free waffles.
Nature's Path brand. And I'm going to test the cider first. So for liquids, again, you just want a couple of drops. We use straws to just get a couple of drops so you don't have to like try and pour a whole jar of liquid into a little tiny capsule. So we're just going to take a little bit here. This isn't going to work very well.
And I'll do the same with this pumpkin creamy soup. So I'll just use this straw right here. And just, a few drops.
And if you've got a Nima, you know that there are teeth inside the capsule. So if you're putting in liquid, just make sure you can still see the top of those teeth, and that'll really make sure that you have the right size sample.
You don't want to overfill these capsules, especially with liquid, because that means when you close the cap, you're going to have the liquid spilling out. So you don't want that. Just a little bit is enough. The sensitivity of these capsules or the chemistry in here, it just needs a little bit of sample to test. All right, so this one's
we're going to go for the cider.
Creamy soup right here. So once again, press it to turn it on and press to start.
And I'm going to change out my gloves here because I got some cider on the last one.
Yeah, that's good practice.
But yeah, for anyone that's watching, you want to make sure that you have clean hands when you're sampling or clean utensils because Nima is sensitive enough to pick up those low levels of cross contact. So if you've got gluten on your fingers or on the sampling utensils, you might get it on the sample of the food.
I see some comments coming in right now. Looks like Joanne says thanks for the test. You're welcome. But if
Thanks
you guys
for joining, Joanne.
yeah, if you guys have any questions or sort of any any items that you guys love that are pumpkin spice flavor, just add them into the comments here.
Absolutely. So the next one I'm going to do is this Simply Elizabeth Pumpkin Cinnamon Granola. We love this brand here in the office. We stock a lot of the different flavors. So we're hoping that this one is gluten-free because we all eat it very often. But again, just a little pea-sized sample. And since granola can be hard, just make sure that you get a really small sample there. If it's like an actual nut or seed, oh, you can hear Nima working probably.
Yep.
If it's an actual like hard nut or seed in the granola, just make sure you kind of crush that up because those can be a little difficult for Nima to grind up.
So I'm gonna open up this pumpkin pie mix. All right. There you go. So this one is kind of thick.
It is thick.
Yeah.
So we've got some spoons here. I didn't use this spoon if you want.
So we might need some water for this.
You think? Just
We'll try it first without water.
Yeah.
If it's very thick, we might not get a good reading on it, and you might get a capsule error. But we'll try first right now.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Might have to call up our lab assistants to get us some water right now. And as a reminder, I mean, hopefully we don't get an error, but if in any case you get an error, that usually just means Nima just didn't have enough information to make a decision. We don't want to tell you any false information. So if you get an error, let the team know. You can just email support@nimatested.com, let them know what you were testing, and we could figure out if it was the food that caused it. Maybe you put in too much, maybe there was not enough water. There's various reasons that you can practice to prevent errors too. So our support team is happy to sort of go over some of the best practices. All right. Yeah, it looks this one's looking a little thick. So we're gonna drop this is water from the chemistry team. Just a little drop is all we need. Oop, put a little too much.
Some other things you might want to put a little water in are high-fat foods. So if you're testing ice cream or a custard, anything that might have a lot of a high-fat content, putting a drop or two of water in there just helps Nima run the test a little bit.
Yeah, and as a reminder, so if you do add water, just like testing like the juice, with any liquids, you still want to be able to see the top teeth inside. If you put too much, then it's going to spill out.
And we do have our first result in. These pumpkin spice Nature's Path organic waffles are indeed gluten-free. It says gluten-free and wheat-free. Again, they were certified gluten-free here, so that's the result that we expected, but we're really excited that these are gluten-free. So enjoy with your favorite toppings, whether it's syrup, fruit, yogurt, whatever you like. What else are we going here? Oh, we got another smiley face on the organic pumpkin creamy soup, and that's brand Imagine. You can find most of those at Whole Foods. We got a happy face on our apple cider. That's exciting too. This brand is North Coast Organic Apple Cider. Again, this one doesn't say specifically gluten-free, but ingredients are basically just juice from apples. So we're glad that there's nothing extra in there.
All right, so yeah, we're still waiting on the granola and this pumpkin mix, the pie mix that we just started.
So we've got a pumpkin pie mix here. What else is usually in a pumpkin pie? Spices, right? So what's in a pumpkin pie spice mix? Pumpkin pie spice mix.
Yeah. I know what's in a pumpkin spice though.
Well, that's the same thing.
All right. So you guys probably, if you haven't checked out was it last week? Maybe two weeks ago?
Maybe.
Yeah, we did our Starbucks pumpkin spice latte testing, and since then I Googled what's in pumpkin spice. It's actually pretty simple. It's right here. It's majority cinnamon. So I think it was about like 8 parts cinnamon and maybe 1 or 2 parts right here. We got some allspice, nutmeg, in some ground cloves, and I think in some recipes it had a little bit of ginger in it. But as you can see, pretty much these are all sort of this like warm, nutty type of spices, and combine this and you can pretty much pumpkin spice anything. Own. Yeah.
So even if, you know, our Nima did test gluten-free for the pumpkin spice latte at Starbucks, but in case you don't want to risk cross-contamination yet, and maybe don't have a Nima of your own, you can always mix your own spices together and make a really delicious pumpkin spice latte at home as well. Yeah,
and if you guys are on our community newsletters, basically these are the emails we send out to Nima users. You may have seen the news from last week or the email from last week where I actually went ahead and tested some of these spices, and we have tips on how to test spices, because one of the problems that you can run into when you're testing spices, because it's dry and powdery, if you put it directly in the capsule, it might clog it and it could cause errors. So sort of our main tip for pretty much any of these sort of ground spices, or it could be anything like red pepper,
mixes,
any of the mixes, any of the powdery dry stuff, we do recommend putting just a drop or two of the water, just enough so that it's still under the teeth, and you don't really need that much of the spice.
Like an eighth of a teaspoon or less. Yeah.
So just remember that.
We've got our granola result back. You can't quite see it, but it's a smiley face. So that's the Purely Elizabeth, excuse me, pumpkin cinnamon ancient grain granola. It smells really delicious. Happy face, Nima tested, gluten-free. Do we have our last result yet?
It's still going, but yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, Joanne, you just asked us in the comments. I recently purchased a Nima, and I plan on using it on an upcoming vacation. But it seems like you've had a bad experience in the past at some restaurants, so it seems like you want some suggestions on how to possibly interact with restaurants. And we have a lot of that information.
Oh, yeah. And first, I'd be really curious where you're going, because we do have quite a few city guides on our blog where we've gone and tested a lot of restaurants in a few of the top big cities in the U.S. So we've got New York, we've got Las Vegas, we've got Austin, Texas, and then Disney Springs, which is at Disney World. We're hoping to expand more within the Disney area as well.
Minneapolis.
And then we also have Minneapolis. So we've got a little bit, some areas of the country.
In San Francisco, we have.
In San Francisco, we've tested about 50 different restaurants here and did a whole blog post about that too. But our city guides are all like really highly rated Nima tested restaurants that you can go to. We also have a lot of conversation starters on our FAQs about questions and things that you can ask when you're ordering at a restaurant. Things like asking if there's shared fryers, or if they use new spatulas or scoopers when they're cooking and preparing your food. So
yeah, it's actually like a communication sort of, I don't know, like a map. Like it's a guideline. It tells you, ask this, and then if they say yes or no, ask this. So we were always looking for ways to make it easier to dine out. Let Nima, be sort of, something that helps you feel better about eating out, make it easier for eating out.
Absolutely.
And one advice I can give you based on talking to a lot of our community members is, if you have to go to a restaurant, and we do this when we go to the restaurants too. When we sit down, we say, hey, I cannot have any gluten in this dish. It's very serious for me, and therefore, I carry this device with me. This is my Nima. It actually will let me test whatever food you bring out to me. So, and I'm gonna test it before I eat it. So please make sure, the chef in the back, they can do whatever they need to do. Change gloves, use new pans, whatever they need to do to ensure that this dish is gonna come out gluten-free. And sort of putting the attention onto Nima has really helped out, our community members, so that it's not about you or maybe disease or any sort of food sensitivities you have. It's that, look, this Nima is going to tell me yes or no if I can eat it. It's not, I'm not telling you I can't eat it because I don't feel good. This is just saying, it's a pretty much black or white saying. If I get a smiley face, I'm going to eat it. If it's gluten found, I can't eat it. And that's hopefully that's a tip that you can take when you're at the different restaurants.
And we found that most restaurants are really curious about Nima, and they don't want to get you sick either. So if you come back with gluten found results, definitely have the conversation. And sometimes the restaurants will try again, and they know they've been able to figure out where the cross-contamination is happening and make it again, and it comes back with a smile. So definitely have the conversation. And then also check out the Nima app if you haven't downloaded it yet, and look for restaurants in the area that you're traveling, see what's been tested. It's definitely a great tool when trying to choose restaurants as well.
Yeah. And we also found out, it's just a psychology thing, but if you talk about if you tell that you have a Nima before the meal, and then afterwards tell the chef, hey, I got gluten, the chances of them wanting to kind of work it out with you, they're really positive. They're like, oh, what can I do? Or what is that Nima? You know, what is that? Where can I get one? Whereas opposed to if you keep Nima a secret till the end of the meal and all of a sudden say, hey, I can't eat this because this told me, then we've seen some chefs like get offended. So it's always kind of easy to just sort of break the ice with Nima right in the beginning. So my screen turned off because it does time out after.
What are we going to do, Show?
So if you double click it, oops. Sorry. I started the test again. Here. You have a better touch.
It'll error out.
Yeah.
Hold on. But what does one do when they miss their result? They were too busy having a conversation. They couldn't quite tell what the result was.
You'll double click and you should be able to see.
I've got to wait.
Yep. But it was a smiley face.
Yes. And that was on our pumpkin pie mix?
Yeah, this is the organic pumpkin pie mix.
What other questions do we have coming in?
Looks like there's not any other questions. So, to demo exactly what you'll see if you wanted to see the last test result, you just turn on Nima, and if you double click, you should see the last test result. So this one it's a smiley face, and it says last test 9 minutes ago.
Awesome. What other things do we have coming up that we're going to test?
So I know it's still September, but October and Halloween is coming up soon. So
Sunday is October.
We're basically going to be start gathering different candy. Like I think they're probably selling them at stores already.
Oh, they are for sure.
But we're going to go to our local grocery stores and look for Halloween candies, and we will be asking you guys, the community, what sort of candies you guys want to test. So there's going to be a survey coming out. So make sure to vote on that for any of your favorite candies to find out if
Halloween candies.
Halloween candies, exactly. To find out if they're gluten-free or not.
Looks like we have another question.
All right, Sandy says, oh yeah, good feedback. So Sandy says when you mail the refill capsules, so you get these refill capsules come in a box of 12, and most people get a box a month or maybe every other month or so. Sandy has suggested to include business cards or small pamphlets to leave behind at the restaurants. And so we are working on cards. We're working on a lot of different ways that maybe you can leave behind information. We know for a fact that a lot of our users, they're already sort of leaving the capsules behind, just leaving it on a table or giving it to the staff, or some people are actually even just giving them these, just this packaging.
Wrappers, yeah.
We've looked at maybe redesigning this wrapper so it might have more information so you can leave that behind, or maybe some more information on the outside of the capsule so you can leave behind.
It's a great suggestion. A lot of times when I'm leaving the restaurant and I'm having my capsules, they run after me like, oh, do you need this? Like they're not quite sure that it's garbage. So yeah, we're looking into ways that we can give you guys some extra resources, whether it's a card or a sticker or something that you can tell people like we Nima tested. This was the result, or even just if you want to learn more, here's the website. Because I know that we leave our personal business cards when we dine out, but we'd love for you guys to spread the word as well.
Yeah, and we also looked at possible like maybe putting it into the app where you can maybe click on a tab within the app and put in the chef's maybe email address or phone number, or if you get their name, so that we can just send something out to them, some information. So we are looking at different ways. You're right. We rely on the community to help spread the word about Nima, and being at the restaurant, we know it's like the best place. You just tested it, and the chef saw it, and they want to learn more. So we want to make that easier for everyone too. So keep on, sending us those suggestions. You can send them to us on social media. Just tag us, send us a DM, comment, or you can always email us at support@nimasensor.com or even community@nimasensor.com. We're all reading all those emails. And lastly, you can call our phone number.
Yeah.
1-844-NIMA-WOW.
Wow.
Yeah, you can call that and just let us know. We love these feedback. Nima's been out for about almost,
if you pre-order,
if you pre-order, almost a year now.
Yep.
And those who've been around for a while know all the updates that we've done via firmware, the new sort of app updates that we've made, and all of that happened because of all the feedback that we get. And so just always, your feedback is very important to us, so keep them coming.
Yes, and most of our features are driven, like new features that we add are driven by community feedback, so we really value that. If there are any other questions or comments, make sure type them in there. We'll answer them quickly. But as we said, we have Halloween candy testing coming up soon. Next week is it's World Smile Day.
World Smile Day.
So we're going to be doing some extra special Nima fun things next week for World Smile Day, since Nima is bringing smiles to everyone who uses it. And I think that's it. I don't think we have any other questions. So you saw it here first. We've got apple cider. We've got pumpkin cinnamon granola from Purely Elizabeth. We've got Nature's Path pumpkin spice waffles. Imagine pumpkin creamy soup. And we've got an organic pumpkin pie mix, all gluten-free, Nima tested. And
we'll have a blog post.
And we will have a blog post up, wrapping all this stuff up. Check out our other blog posts. We did the Starbucks pumpkin spice latte. We've tested the maple pecan latte at Starbucks. We didn't do a blog post on that, but our friend Celiac and the Beast wrote a whole blog post about that, her experience there. So make sure you go to our Facebook page and check out some of the recent blogs. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.